Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Africa, tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. America, tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze.
You are listening to African Father in America podcast by Simon Javan Okello, live from Seattle, Washington, USA.
Thank you so much for joining me for another amazing session of the Daily African Proverbs. My name is Simon Javan Okello, and I am in Seattle, Washington, but I'm from Kenya originally, and we are live streaming on YouTube. So if you're joining us on YouTube, thank you so much. Remember to subscribe to the channel and also share with us your interpretation of today's proverb in the comments. If you're joining us on Clubhouse, thank you so much. I see amazing friends and really family joining us on Clubhouse. If you are on Clubhouse and you want to join us on YouTube, the best way to do that is to click the link at the top of the room, because I have a special guest. My guest today is Eric Mbiu, and Eric is the CEO of STEM Developers LLC, and is just an amazing leader, originally from Kenya. We are going to learn a lot more about him. We are going to also learn about his interpretation of today's proverb, which is from Equatorial Guinea. And we are going to learn about a story from his childhood that inspires him today as the founder of STEM Developers and also the vice president at Vis Ventures Trust. Eric, how are you doing today?
Good. How are you doing?
I am doing great, man. Thank you so much for making time. And thank you for the support you've given me, over the last few weeks with this Daily African Proverbs show. I would love for you to just jump in and share with us, when you see this proverb, a wise man never knows all, only fools know everything. What comes to your mind?
Oh, man. And I want to reflect on Vis Ventures. I'm a managing partner and VP of sales and marketing for the company. And so, and then we have a trustee because we work on the trust side. Wow, when I think about the proverb, it's very deep and it's very, very, very true. When it comes down to a wise man never knows all, only fools know everything. I always think about, if you're the smartest person in the room, find a different room. It's you can learn a lot from a lot of people, even people who are not in the upper management position. It could be even the clerk in the in the mailroom, right? They come with experiences and knowledge, and you can always never be too big to learn. And so, what a proverb! Very wise proverb.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I love African proverbs, and that's part of why for the African Father in America podcast, before we start our conversation, I just love to start with a proverb. And also towards the end of our conversation, after the first 30 minutes, we also open the floor for our audience members to contribute to this conversation by, making a comment about something they heard you share, or they will also just share their interpretation of this proverb. Before we continue, I want to invite everyone who is with us on Clubhouse to ping in 3 to 5 people to join us on the room, clip this conversation and share it on Twitter and other platforms. And also, if you're watching this on YouTube, share the live stream with your community members and let us know in the comments what's in your mind when you think about a wise man never knows all, only fools know everything. So Eric, I feel that one of the things that drew me to have this conversation with you today was just the fascinating story of, number one, the fact that the last town that you're in before you moved to the US, or the last city, let me not say town, city.
Yes.
The last city that you're in Kenya was Kisumu, where I come from. The second thing is that you've accomplished a lot, in terms of your career, and I always love listening to stories with the hopes that, my audience members also learn something from leaders like you. So I want you to take us back a number of years, maybe between when you were 8 to 12, a story from that period that really inspires who you are today as a leader.
Yes. Wow. What can I say? I was in Mombasa for a while, and our dad worked for the government, and so he was an abusive parent, not only to I but to my mother. And so the good thing about my mother's side of the family, they were very well off, wealthy. They do very well in business. And my uncle owns Mudasa Academy over there in Vihiga, one of the best private academies in Kenya. Actually, they just been
I
nationalized
know.
with the British. You know Mudasa, right?
I
That's
know
my
Mudasa.
uncle.
So you're saying, I thought Mudasa is owned by Mudavadi.
That's my uncle. That's my mom's brother.
Ah,
Yes, we are
my
very, very,
friend.
very well to do. Yes,
Yeah, that's
and so
amazing.
yes, and so they had to get out of that situation, and they put on the first flight to New York just to get away from my father. She tried to take us, but she couldn't. It's not like here where sometimes the mothers keep the kids, right, on a bad divorce and breakup. And he was really very involved in the government, and so when she left us, I was very young, and it was just an abusive situation. So when I was 8 through 12, um, we moved to Kisumu. He had moved jobs, and man, he would drink a lot. Come home, beat us with hammers. You take your shoes off. He would hit us with a hammer, and just enough to pierce your skin, and then he'd put you in the water, right? And for me, the way it shaped my life, I was trying to do everything to please him, to just avoid anything. And some scenarios, we think about what's been written in the Bible for us, our destiny. And for me and my older brother, we couldn't take it, so we used to run away. And so I'd spend a lot of times in the streets of Kisumu. We'd run away weeks at a time, days at a time. But my middle brother wouldn't run away. He just took the beatings. Okay. And I think that's shaped our lives even now, because I think the downfall for him, I think, was staying in that abusive situation as a kid. And for us, it was like, no, we got to get away and see if there's something better. And what I can tell you that at that age, you can't, when you're living as a street kid, in the streets, whether it's Kisumu, Nairobi, whatever, as you live as a street kid, it becomes very difficult to fend for yourself at a very young age. So what we have to resort to eat, right? We have to steal. So these little kiosks would open up, and we would go and steal a mango or a fruit and something to eat. We'd sleep in those when they're building the roads, those big tunnels of concrete. We'd sleep in there sometimes. And then one day we found this abandoned home that was being built, and I guess somebody just left. And one day we stole food, and we went there, and a kid saw us, and he followed us, and then he went back and told the owner where we were at. And so we got caught, and they beat us, and then they locked us up in this big warehouse, and they went to find our father. When our father came, it was so embarrassing for him that that's when he started talking to my mother, right? In the U.S. Imagine now she's in the United States. So at this time, I say that to say that things have to happen for a reason, to see how your progression goes and where you end up. Because if that didn't happen, if I was like my middle brother and just stayed in that abusive home, then I would never have probably been here speaking with you right now. Okay. So there's always a reason behind everything. Our destinies have been written, good, bad, indifferent. Okay. And so I found this out later, but she was already devising a plan to get us, because my sister, at that time, my father never let us see our family from my mother's side ever. I always thought it was my father and his people, period. Okay. But when my sister went to Nairobi, she was going to a private school. She met my uncle Isaac, and he has a beautiful story. He's in Nairobi. He does very well in real estate and so forth. And so she never came home after the boarding school closed, and we never knew what happened to her. We literally thought she was dead. She come home to time, and she's a young lady in primary school, and so one day she shows up, and the minute she walks through the door, he slaps her. And now that she had found that there was an
This is Simon. We just lost my guest here for a moment. We will be bringing Eric back, so just bear with me as we bring him back. Thank you again for joining me for today's session.
We lost connection.
Yeah, that's
Can
okay.
you hear
That's
me?
okay. Yes, I hear you. I hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, no problem. Carry on.
Okay.
Carry on.
All right. So, the minute she walked through the door, he slapped her. But, it's so powerful when you know you have an exit. She turned around and just left. She never even looked back, never said a word. And we were in the corner wondering where she's gone. And she just disappeared for almost a year. Okay. That what I didn't know is they put on a plane and flew her to the United States to meet my mother. Okay. So she was telling her everything that was happening to us. And so that created a system where she found a way to get us away from him. And so while I was in Kisumu and we had stolen and he had found us, he started talking to her and she told him, hey, listen, I will pay for their boarding school. I'll pay for all their school. You don't have to do anything. They will go and get right. Now, my aunt and my uncle, Enoch, they lived in Kitale. They owned almost 10,000 acres of farmland up there, close to the Ugandan border. Okay. So she told them, we're going to go over there. We're going to go to Kitale Academy. But he didn't know they were there, by the way. Right. So he started paying him money every time. My aunt and uncle showed up. My mom was very resourceful. She had bought a Nissan Datsun back in the days, 1985, brand new, put it on a ship, shipped it to Kenya, gave it to my uncle in Kitale. So they showed up at the house, they paid him, and then he said we could go to boarding school. And so when we went to the boarding school, we didn't even stay there more than 2, 3 months. When school started, like the first week, my uncle Isaac had driven from Nairobi, picked us up in Kitale, and told us we're leaving now because my mom had bought the first flight tickets out of Nairobi, and the only ticket she could find was KLM first class, and we only left with the clothes on our backs, literally. They put us on the plane. I guess they had instructions for the plane and the stewardess because we're very young. Told them we'd be traveling alone, and so when we got to Amsterdam, they took care of us because it was a layover, right? You know those layovers when you're flying back and forth from Africa to the U.S. And they took care of us, put us in a hotel, and then they put us on the flight, and we came here. And so when we got here, I didn't even know who my mother was. I picked my aunt as my mother because they asked us who you think your mother is, and that's how long it had been since we had seen her. And so how did that shape my life, man? Let me tell you, it taught me that the resiliency of women. I'm a big advocate for women. My mom was a single mother. When I came here, I found out everything that she had done to get us here. So I don't take that in vain. She literally, when we came here legally. We came here with passports, green cards, social security, and the things that she had done to acquire those things were through the good nature that we are. Kenyan people humble. We're so good people, very smart, very resourceful, very hardworking. Okay, and we always want the best for everyone. We really do, regardless of what the government is doing and what we do as a private or personal people. And so um, I found out that her professors, when you're bringing 3 young teenagers to this country, at that time, they will ask you, what if you die? What's going to happen to those boys? Okay. So her professors, not her friends, her professors had signed that they would adopt us, and those are the things that just made me look at my mom at a different way, because she never forgot her kids, right? And so for me, it shaped my life, because we we got into a situation where I was like, this is an opportunity and not to waste it. And what do I do with this life? And how do I impact others? And so I'm a big advocate for women, as I just stated. I'm a big advocate for, it's not where you are, but where you're going. And certain situations that happen to you, good or bad, there's a reason behind it, and you gotta find out what it is. Sometimes it's a mental issue where some people they just never do. But for us who are committed, you just have to find out what it is. And there was a time we got in a big accident, Simon. Me and my brother going to school, and this car T-boned us, and we won a lot of money. And as kids, we are thinking buying fancy things and all that. But my mother said no. She used to work as a home health care worker for the Pelchin Children's Center. She said, no, let's open one of these centers. Okay, let's use that money to open a business. And so she, we got registered with the Texas Department of Mental Health and Mental Retardation. We opened up a group home, and that group home we ran it for almost 19 years. Okay, and it's what helped us build back in Africa. I think about real estate now in a different story. And for me, I was young, but I was in real estate, but I didn't know it. Over here, I was too busy working, because as my brothers and my older sister, by the way, they started doing other things and not taking care of the family business. Guess who was left behind at a young age? I literally opened that business with my mom. I was in ninth grade. I was just starting as a freshman in high school. And when she was going to Africa, building the apartments, buying land, and we started even our nonprofit, and we never got any money from anyone, but a good company out of Kenya, Energizer Everready, they sponsored our kids. That's how in that picture on my Clubhouse, the PTR, they would sponsor us every Christmas. Wonderful company. Okay, we never solicited for funds. We had more than enough, and so we took 12 boys out of the Kibera slums, and we housed them from kids to college. One of them graduated with an engineering degree. Um, and I kind of hired them with HS1 Global. That's another company that we own through Vis Ventures. And so, that being said, they would go off, and guess what? I could never forget what my mother did for us. So I would stay there and work all the time, and those are the things that shaped me as a kid, because I always knew where I came from, and I never forgot that. And so, 17 years, we've done so well. The economy crashed. We sold the company, and then since I've never worked for anyone else, I decided to go work door to door. And so I was selling Uva's cable door to door in Columbus, Ohio, of all places, in the winters, in the summers, for 2 years. But I started realizing there's something here that some people just are not good natured like us, and so the good thing about that company was, if you built enough people and did enough sales, you could open your own company. It was like one of those network marketing. You'd open your own branch in another city in a different campaign. And so I was very excited. And so when we opened it, we were just 5 people in the office. We built it up to over 50, and and I was so good at sales that the toughest interviews to give people was the ones that were sharp kids who came in suits, and then you have to take them for an interview, going door to door, and tell them why this job is nice. Okay, very, very, very tough. Okay, and I had built a group of people, but I didn't know that the owner of that office was not going to hire me or promote me because of the color of my skin. Okay, that was my first experience in racism, discrimination, etc. And as a kid, I grew up here in the U.S. and especially in Houston, and I had a lot of variety of people, white, black, all that, but we were so together. But in the business world, after you go from self-employment to corporate, okay, you start realizing that. And so I did that for that time. And one of my biggest hires was Ryan, a kid named Ryan Wyatt. He had just graduated from Ohio State University. He's now the president of gaming for Google and YouTube. Okay, and when I hired him, um, it was just a big accomplishment because I knew I had enough people to get my own office after one of the ladies had moved on with his group. And so that being said, um,
Thank you all so much for joining me. My special guest is Eric Mbiu, and I think he just received a phone call. But
yeah, I had to hit mute. Go ahead, Simon.
um, Excellent. So I just want to welcome you all to the Daily African Proverbs. I love hosting guests because I am recording this for the African Father in America podcast, which is also the club on Clubhouse that these shows are held at. And so remember to follow the club. Remember to nominate 3 to 5 people to join the club, and also ping people into the room. Ping 3 to 5 people to join us for today's conversation if you are on Clubhouse. And then the other way you can support is to join us on YouTube. The link at the top of the Clubhouse room is going to get you to the YouTube live stream, where you'll be able to see my guest and I, and you'll be able to engage with us over there. Thank you again so much. Let's get back with you, Eric. I want you to finish what you're sharing, and then I also, actually, in addition to what you're sharing, I just want you to add, how you are able to build your company STEM developers, and also, Vis Ventures Trust, so from what you're saying, just, head that way.
Oh no, it is, and everything is about moving forward, right? The things you do that lead you to the next step. So I'm building, and I think we're gonna at 8:30 we should be where we need to be, um, to move forward. But everything I'm stating has to do with your progression, and never feeling that any bad situation is should wear you out. It should eat into your mind. You should just brush it off, but be aware those things are there. So as I speak, it all leads to that. Okay. So I didn't know that man would not hire me, and he was from Greek. He was a Greek, a gentleman from Greece, and he was basically a foreigner in this country, right? But the lady who told me that he wouldn't do that told me after I had left. Okay. So anyway, so I hired Ryan Wyatt and other people, and when she moved, he took my group and disbanded it, okay, to other groups. So at that time, my brother was here from North Carolina. He was working with me, and after a while, I said, I'm just gonna go back home. I was so good at that job, Simon, that the one of the presidents of the company came and said, "Hey, why don't you come move to Arizona with us and stay in the same business?" And I just looked at that, and for me, it wasn't enough because that man should have been fired. Okay, because if I'm not the only black person he would do that to. So I quit. I came back to Houston. My best friend, who's on my Facebook PTR, uh, I, I've been friends with him since I came to this country. He died of COVID. He told me, "Hey, come work with me in the mortgage business." Okay, so I was leaving one, I was leaving one job that's commission based and going to another commission based job. And my older sister who had came here said, "Hey, I have a connection with American Express. Why don't you go work there?" But when you've worked for yourself, Simon, you look at things as an entrepreneur. So, in my vision, I eat what I kill, right? And so my biggest thing was I'm gonna go do the mortgage thing. One thing that I'd learned was sales. It's the hardest thing to knock on someone's door and them open it and come up with an intro to spark their attention, overcoming objections, fear of loss, etc. So I knew I would be good in mortgages because they give you cold calls. You call and convince people to buy or refinance their home, right? So I got into mortgages, And that's what led me into STEM. How did that happen? When I was in the mortgage business, I was as good as I was in the UVAS business, selling cable. So as I moved on, my 3 months in, I met a gentleman from Vietnam. He was calling the office and nobody was answering. And he happened to have a lot of investment properties. So I helped him and he goes, "Hey, I can open up a branch for you, a mortgage branch." I go, "No, man, I've only been here 3 months. I don't know everything." He goes, "Man, you could have fooled me." One thing I'll tell people, the first part of anything is showing up. The second part is helping others. Okay, you might not know everything, but tell them, "Hey, I don't know this part, but when my manager comes in, I'll find out for you." I think a lot of people don't understand that. So 3 months in, he says, "Man, if you think about it, let me know." So he gives me his card. It didn't even take me more than 6 months, Simon. I called him and said, "Let's do it." Okay. He opens up mortgage branch for me. I found the branch that I wanted to work with. They were based out of Michigan. Okay. They're called Top Flight Financial. Okay. I opened my own branch with basic less than a year in experience. Okay. And the thing is, he was so big that we wanted to get a cheap office in Greens Point. At that time, they called it Guns Point because it's in the hood. But he went and got us an office in the Galleria. If you ever been to Houston, it's a high-end area, okay? And he doesn't get us a small room. He gets a 3,000 square foot building. He built it out, everything. And one thing I didn't understand, image is everything, right? And so I started getting all these people from India coming in. I had some brothers from Africa bringing Nigerian people who have land development. And so those people don't want to talk to you on the phone. Our people want to see you face to face, right? So I had to go out and meet them. I had to go see this land and so forth. I met this Indian lady. She had 60 acres in Austin by Lake Travis. And guess what? That's where my real estate development came in. And at that time, my investor moved to Florida, and he started buying houses there and so forth. And so we were doing all the loans ourselves, closing the leads. And I started realizing I'm paying now for all this space that's very expensive. So me and my friend who died of COVID, we decided, no, we're not going to be paying for such a big place, because I was never in the office. I was literally out doing business. And so we closed the office down. He moved, and I got into the Indian lady. Literally made me move into a house. She had a big house in Sugarland, and where I live now. And literally, she started showing me everything: how to get grants, how to sign up and get a cage code. I learned a lot from her, and that was a client, by the way. Okay, and so at that time, when I got into that, that's when fast forwarding, I opened STEM Developers LLC. And when I opened STEM Developers, I opened it with some of my other clients who were into oil and gas and so forth. And one of my biggest accomplishments, or one of many in STEM, I have started realizing that these things that the big people were doing, Simon, you can do too. You don't have to have experience in building a house, but if you have land or if you have property, I'll teach them how they can too be developers. And on my Instagram, all the houses you see there are people who've never built, they don't even think about that space. We built a 6,000 square foot home. It just sold on the 26th for almost 1.5 million. And the person who did that is a school teacher in elementary school. Okay, land. Another gentleman, we just closed another construction job. I've been knowing him for 2 years. I helped him get his first construction, and people were telling him no because his past. Okay, when he was a child, he got a cocaine charge, right? Trafficking. So when you have that, you can get a job. So you have to be self-employed. And so I helped him do that because I have the email. They said, "Oh, his past." I said, "No, that's not going to stop us." And I found through my experience and through my uh, personal connections, I took him to the lenders that I know, and I know how to package the deal and give people a chance. And so I look at those things in a different light, Simon. I look at things in terms of gentrification. I don't like gentrification, so I call it community revitalization. And so moving forward, that's what I'm doing with my life. in the next coming years. We started an app. It's called Call. Okay, it's going to start teaching everyone that if you look at opportunity zones, if you look at marginalized communities, why are you letting people from out of your state, out of your city, out of your town come in and buy something from you for pennies on a dollar, or you lose your property for tax sales, because nobody's teaching you that you can build on that. Okay, pay back that tax sale when you get that loan, because it's a lien on your property. They'll pay it off and bring in construction funds, build, sell it. Now you make enough money for the lot, and you make profits from the sale of the property. Or you can hold on to them, okay, and get residual income, because if you move out of that place, it can pay for you where you're moving to. Especially older people, they move into retirement communities, etc. And so the 50,000 they pay you, with inflation, what's that going to buy you, right? So those are the things now I'm moving forward, I'm doing. As far as Vis Ventures came from my client, my Indian client. He saw how hard I worked for their development project. And when COVID hit, he calls me out of nowhere, a client I hadn't talked to maybe in 2 years. And he had told the trustee how hard I worked for them, that I needed to be part of their new project, which was HS1 Global. It's on my 10K card. We were selling high-end PPEs during COVID. And so that was just from a referral from a client. That's why I always tell people, if I come into your project, I'll work harder than you can on your own project. And the thing is, it's not for the CEO or the owner of that project to see it. That Indian gentleman was a backup to them, like he was part of the group, but he saw the value that I brought, right? And out of nowhere, he called me. Vis Ventures is a very good trust company. We have high-end network clients. We do projects 5 million and up. The thing is, we don't do debt. We come in on an equity play. So if you came to us with a big project, we would say, okay, we can inject capital into that. This is what it's going to be. And then we discuss the equity position, okay? Whether it'll be a 59, 41, whether it'll be a 60, 40, etc., depending on the size and scope of the projects. And there's the good thing about that, we have bank draft programs, okay? There's some network clients, we can use the drafts that they give us and monetize it and fund your project debt-free, Simon, debt-free. These are not loans. That's one thing people don't understand. We do trading platforms, we can monetize SBLCs and so forth. And so that's how I got into Vis Ventures, through relationships of clients. And so that's my story for that. And all these things have led me to where I'm at today.
My friend, you are so incredible. Congratulations on, man, from the challenges you faced in Kisumu growing up and, living on the streets. I saw many street children. In fact, my mother ran an orphanage home from 1997 until 2013.
Wow.
And you could have easily been one of the kids that lived with us, and long before we had the orphanage home, in Kenya, people use charcoal for cooking, and me and my friends used to go around neighborhoods and find leftover charcoals, and we would recycle it and then resell it. We would mix it. There's the dust from the cooking stoves. If you mix it with the smaller portions of the charcoal, you can actually make balls of reusable, energy source, which is really recycling the same charcoal. And it actually works better than the actual firewood. So that's how I actually interacted more with street kids, because they were also fighting over the same the same raw material we were looking for. So we had to go to the same, dump sites to collect these things. Man, I just commend you for your accomplishments, and I'll definitely be reaching out to you after our interview today to just tap in, because, I've also been involved with, construction projects in the continent. In over 6 countries, building hospitals and clinics. but I've never really wrapped my head around how can I be more involved here in the US. And so, I think I can learn so much from you. But I want to create space for our audience members. We have a really, really amazing group of friends on stage on Clubhouse. And also, we have an amazing group of friends on YouTube. If you are on Clubhouse and you don't know that we are live on YouTube, the link is right at the top of the room and you can join us there. And if you just joined us, my guest is Eric Mbiu, who is just an incredible leader. He's the founder of STEM Development and also the vice president at Vis Ventures Trust. He shared with us
managing partner. Yeah.
managing
I'm a
partner.
partner. Yes.
Okay.
We don't have presidents and vice presidents. It's a trust. And JB, we call him JB. He's a trustee. So we operate in a trust structure for the tax savings and the anonymity of our clients. So, for example, Simon, I have to state that, especially since we have replays. For example, Simon, if you came into a company and you came with a LLC, we would want you. We'd want to close in a trust. Why? Because some of our high net worth clients, you as well, you want to be protected and with the shield that a trust can gives you, right? And the tax implications and so forth. So there are no presidents, vice presidents, just the trustee, and then the partners within the organization. Thank you.
Yeah, this is well understood. This is well understood. I'm just so grateful, again to all our guests. But I want to give a quick shout out to Min Do, who has been an amazing supporter of my work here on Clubhouse, and is also doing amazing work on the platform. Feel free to join us on stage. I just invited you, but now I want to ask you, Eric, to stay with me for a moment while we get perspectives from the audience members on the stage. We want to start with Goddess and Thandisizwe, who have been here with us from the very beginning. And just take a moment, Goddess, share with us, your thoughts on today's proverb, and also any comments to Eric, who is still my guest. And then Eric, take notes so that after we hear from everybody on stage, I would love to have your closing remarks, include some of the nuggets that you picked up, and also think about how everyone in this room can support the amazing work that you're doing and also stay connected with you. I want you to share that at the end of the room. Hey, Goddess, share with us your perspectives, please.
Hello, good morning, everybody. It's such a pleasure to be here with you guys this morning. Thank you, Brother Eric, for sharing your story, your amazing story with us. Thank you, Simon, for holding the space with us. I'm a long life learner, and it's something that I truly wish on the world. I remember being a child, and I remember thinking that there was going to be an end to school really soon. I'm like, I almost know everything there is to know. There has to be an end, especially to math. I'm like, I'm almost done. And I realized, like, no, I don't know anything. And I feel like I think it was probably 2012 for me when I went through my mini awakening, and I realized that it was just a lot more to life than what I had previously thought. I had start studying metaphysics for me, and that's kind of what my missing piece was. It helped me to answer a lot of questions that I had, and it also made me realize that there were certain words that I didn't want to be connected to, and not only myself, but even in a romantic partner. Just having a certain standard, and I realized that the word bored was one of those words that I wouldn't be able to use. I always felt like there's so much knowledge and wisdom to grasp in the world. How could you possibly, you know, be bored? Um, I remember canvassing with Sister Tandy Seasway um, years back, working on a city council member campaign um, for North Minneapolis. And I remember us, it was Halloween night. I remember it was a lot of activity outside, a lot of children outside. It was a cold uh, winter um, Halloween. We was out there, but it wasn't too bad. And I remember talking to this older gentleman. He was literally, he had to be in his mid 60s. And I remember being excited to talk to him about the person that we had been campaigning for, because he was running as a Green Party candidate. And we were excited to be, switching up the narrative, because we don't believe in major parties anymore. We don't believe, as conscious Black people in America, we don't believe that the Democratic Party is going to save us. And we believe in having other conversations and opening people's minds up to different platforms. And so I remember just being excited to talk to um, an elder of the community. And I remember him just really shutting me down, and I was surprised that he shut me down. And he pretty much told me that because I was a kid, because I was so young, that I wouldn't be able to engage in conversation with him about politics. And he told me that he had his mind made up about the parties that he decided to represent. And it kind of made me sad. It kind of hurt my feelings. I take politics very seriously. And I realized that everybody wasn't like me, and I always realized that age was nothing but a number. But I just couldn't believe how somebody that I had felt been around the block a lot many more times than me could just shun me down like that and tell me that I didn't have anything to bring to the table. And at that point in time in my life, I felt like I could learn from anybody. And I had been learning from anybody. So this a wise man never knows all, only fools know everything. I feel like I've learned that, and it's a pleasure to be a lifelong learner and to share this space with y'all this morning.
Yeah, that's incredible. Thank you so much. I just love your contributions. Let's hear from Tandisizwe. How are you doing? And where are you joining us from, by the way? And what are your perspectives today on this proverb, especially?
Grand Rising, I am doing well. This has been great to wake up to rise to in the morning. It's 8 a.m. in Minnesota, where I'm from. I just want to thank Brother Shamari and Johnny for recommending this room. It's been fabulous thus far. A wise man never knows all, only fools know everything. This is probably one of my favorite ones since I've been in this room. The first thing that kind of came to my mind this morning, I've been trying to think about like the first reaction that I have and go based off that. And I just thought about, as human beings, our ego, our insecurities, our pride make us think or try to convince others that we know things that we don't know, right? Like everybody's been in that situation where you're at a party and somebody brings up soursop and you don't know what that fruit is, and you either pretend like you do know what it is, in order to keep up, instead of just saying, "Hey, I've never had soursop. What is it?" No, I'm not familiar with African proverbs. Please educate me. And I've seen that. And I've also been on the other end of that, where I was pretending like I knew something that I didn't. And I think that when you do that, you can miss an opportunity to learn something, right? Um, I love that Eric talked about you can learn from anybody, and God has just talked about that as well. This world that we live in, this hierarchy this make believe hierarchy, we often miss out on opportunities, knowing that, or not thinking that we can learn something from a 5-year-old, right? We can learn something from a homeless woman, and I think we put too much value on the CEO sometimes, or the president. So I I don't know. I'm always, solution based and wanting to always give a solution for the problem, and just having an open mind, always knowing that there's something that can be learned even in, if you watch a documentary about the KKK, you I don't want to be around the KKK, but I know that I can always take something away. And as much as many things as I do know, and as conscious and woke as I think I am, all I know is that I know nothing, which empowers me knowing that I do know something, but also gives me the opportunity to be a vessel so that I can continue to get poured into. Thank you.
Wow, you're most welcome. Thank you so much for your wonderful contribution. I'm just grateful. And if you're just joining us, welcome to the Daily African Proverbs. We host this space Monday to Friday, 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So I want to now welcome Ali Conte. How are you doing, and where are you joining us from? Share with us briefly your perspectives on today's proverb from Equatorial Guinea that says, "A wise man never knows all, only fools know everything." Excellent. So we'll go to Lord, my brother Lord. How are you, Ali? Whenever you're ready, just let me know. We will come back to you. Lord, share with us your perspectives, please. It's wonderful to have you here.
Listen live. Thank you, bro. Yeah, and yeah, I'm actually gonna take Eric's thing, which he said, if you're the smartest person in the room, find another one. So, but that's my take on it so far, and I'm actually gonna adopt that to my, philosophy, because that is the essence of wisdom. It's always being prepared to learn more to learn from others, right? And also being aware of your own capacity and incapacity, so, and it's actually a realm, like this proverb is speaking to the aspect of humility, that we must be always, embodying to some extent. And then and one more thing is, for Erica, is I actually I played against your cousin Moses in rugby back in the day, man. So it was interesting to hear who your uncle is. Yeah, because I remember playing. We were playing in a tournament against Hillcrest, and your cousin Moses was a beast. So
Oh,
continue. Thank you.
oh man, you know Moses?
Yeah,
Wow.
bro. Yeah, bro. We played against them in rugby back in the day, bro. So yeah, man. It was good old
I don't see
good
them a
old
lot,
times, man.
but
Good old times.
we're gonna man, good old times. I have to follow you. Who was talking? I'm not on my. We are.
His name
Can
is
we let us?
Lord.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's Lord.
Lord.
It's Lord, bro. We already follow each other, bro. I think we met each other in one of those trust rooms, so I can already see why we already see eye to eye in a lot of things. So
Yes, yes. Oh man. Where you based?
I'm in Georgia. I'm in Georgia right now.
Oh man, I'm doing a lot of things there. Okay. We're gonna talk.
Yeah, we go.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna send you my info.
definitely. That's a must. That's a must. Especially, yeah, in that trust aspects. That's something that I try to teach people. And the funny thing is, when you look at how our tribes in Africa,
Did we
Yeah.
lose him?
Yeah,
yeah, and
it must be his
that's
network. Yeah, go ahead, Lord. We lost you when you started talking
oh, my
about the
fault. Yeah, I was
tribes in Africa.
yes, I was saying, yeah, like a lot of our tribes, the way that the structure of it is, how we organize our family, business and all of that good stuff. It's it's trust. It's formed in a trust, and it's funny to see and recognize that's why, to me, that's a lot of aspects in trust and estate management. It makes sense, because we see it, when it comes into inheritance and giving things away when someone passes away back home. There's a structure to it. But thank you, guys.
Excellent. Thank you very much, my brother Lord. And now we want to move on to JJ Pierre. Jay, how are you? And what are your perspectives on today's proverb?
Hello, everybody. My name is JJ. I'm based in Rotterdam, in the Netherlands. I'm enjoying this room so far. It's the first time I've been pinged in by Tanti Sweet. I'm sorry, I totally misspelled your name, but For me, this brings me back to my inner journey. When I was a kid, I had a hard time controlling my emotions. I had a temper on me, and also because of the surroundings I grew up in. Um, and once I started to actively work on myself, I actually thought that there would be an end date. I actually thought that there would be a time that I would be finished working on myself. And I started traveling. I lived in South Africa for a year, and I lived in Portugal for 6 years. And in the recent, and like in 5 years ago, I there was a certain incident that happened that showed me that I wasn't as far as I thought I was. And I actually came to the realization that it was a lifelong process to improve yourself and to learn more stuff and to better yourself as a human being. And that actually gave me a lot of peace. I was unknowingly putting pressure on myself by putting an end date on it, to actually be as arrogant to think that I would learn everything in like 10 years or 15 years or 5 years, and then I would be done with it. And for me, actually, when I came to that realization that it was a lifelong process, and like others said, that I switched my mindset to a lifelong learner, it gave me a lot of peace. Actually, it gave me it gave me a sense of yeah, it just gave me a sense of peace, knowing that it's okay to stumble in your journey, and to sometimes relapse in old behaviors, as long as you are willing to pick yourself up again and to keep learning. So for that, that's what the proverb brought me back to. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, JJ. And thank you, Thandisizwe, for inviting JJ to this conversation. JJ, I would love to connect with you because for a year, I worked with a group of about 6 graduate students from Delft University on a project that I'm actually implementing through these rooms that I have been hosting for the Daily African Proverbs. I'm basically, working with a group of youths. Based on that project we did with the students from the Netherlands, we are using podcasting to teach African youths how to, use social media to basically become social entrepreneurs. So I want to connect with you and possibly introduce you to some of those students. And then long before I moved to the US, I used to work with a number of people from Deloitte and Rabobank on a number of projects in Kenya too. So there's a lot of synergy and I have a community in the Netherlands that I still do stuff with. So nice to meet you. Now we'll go to Ella. Ella, how are you? And what are your perspectives on today's proverb?
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I hope you guys can hear me okay. I'm actually on the road still. Sorry,
So
getting
it's
my
all
day
good. We
started.
hear you okay. Carry on.
Okay, so for me, this is just a stated fact, right? Um, I think for a lot of us, and like I probably shouldn't speak for everyone, but I do believe for a lot of us, going through the elementary school system or whatever, it does give us a false sense of information being finite. And I think part of maturing and growing up is realizing that, the body of knowledge that humans have built up so far is massive. And the body of knowledge that humans have yet to build is even bigger. And there's much more unknown to us than there is known to us. And that should be, I think, a humbling starting point for any project as we start to venture out. I did want to also take the opportunity to thank you for the guests that you invited today. The conversation was amazing. And some of it is very much in line with some of the work that I'm actually looking to do right now. I'm actually helping organize a team. And one of the things that we're looking to do is a land based NFT project. And I'd like to talk to you guys a little bit more about that because the idea would be to have the diaspora, who's in a much better financial situation, be able to help support land opportunities for areas in the Black global world, right? In Africa and in the Caribbean, to help the poorest families be able to get land back in a sense, right? So kind of like a shared investment that eventually gets transferred over to the person in the homeland country. But I can talk more about that later at another time. I just wanted to take an opportunity to say that. So thank you.
You're most welcome. Thank you. And I see Eric taking a lot of notes, so he'll be he'll be responding to you and also getting in touch with you as needed. Zizi, it's wonderful to have you here. Share with us your perspectives. And for those who are meeting Zizi for the first time, she's an incredible human being. Thank you again, Zizi, for being here. Zizi must be, having a hard time getting to her phone now. So we'll just come back to you. And I know Harley, we haven't.
I'm okay.
Hey, Zizi, carry on.
It's the microphone. Well, I think that's a wonderful quote today. As usual, you have very good quotes, and you're absolutely right. You meet a lot of people who are know-it-all, as we call them. So anything you bring up, say, "Oh yes, I know." And it's a little bit irritating, because after a while when you ask them things, they really appear foolish, because they really don't know, they're just saying that. And people who are humble and know don't make it a point of just saying that they know whatever unless you ask them. So it's sort of self-explanatory, and it's so true. I think it's a matter of arrogance and humility, and having a lot of self-esteem, so you don't need to brag about what you know. And the other person who always knows everything is person who doesn't have that much self-confidence and self-esteem, and they're trying to get it that way.
Yes.
So thank you for allowing me to share.
You're most welcome. You know, Zizi has eaten a lot of salt. Well, in Kenya, if for people to say you've eaten a lot of salt, it's like, Zizi is over 80, just so you all know. And so in Kenya, if an elder is speaking, we say that, Zizi has eaten a lot of salt. She knows what she's talking about. Anyway, Bibi, how are you doing? And what are your perspectives today? Thank you so much.
Good morning, Simon and Zizi. Good to see you. Tess, welcome back.
Hey, Bibi, my Ugandan sister from the city. Don't start.
Bibi is my daughter, right, Bibi?
Yes, mommy. Yes, to me. Yes, that was great conversation between you and Eric, by the way, Simon. And out of the talk that you guys had, I came up with my prompts for today, and it's actually to me, it's kind of like when, gosh, I had this. Hold up. It's like strength versus brains. I forgot to say. Oh my God, I I had it on the tip of my tongue until Tess, I called your name. So, but can I come back for that, please?
Of course. And also, I want to just quickly check with Harley. Harley, are you there? Before I go to Tess. Okay, carry on quickly.
Yes, good morning, everyone. I apologize earlier. I was at a loud place, and I did hear the conversations that you and Eric were having, Simon. And that was very good listening, and kudos to your journey, Eric. Now, in terms for the proverb for this morning, it's very elaborate in the sense that we just don't know enough. We can say we know everything, but that's just not possible. I think somebody had mentioned it, but knowledge in itself, universal, universally is just so massive that for one person to say they have all the knowledge in the world, that's just not possible. Even the wisest gurus, they learn every day, right? And it just when I look at that, I just remember another proverb. I think it goes like, you must wait for the tide to subside to tell who's been swimming naked. You can be in a room, for example, like this. I can say I know a certain, subject matter and just mumble all over the place about that subject matter, and an actual person who is the matter expert, you know, would just sit there and listen, wait for me to ramble, and just kind of call me out on my BS, right? And I just look at this proverb as that, wise man never really knows all, only fools knows everything. Because at that point, I'm just making a fool of myself. And I just, again, like I said, it's a great proverb, and that definitely, um um something to be to be aware of, and us as people, as human beings, is just learning every day is just the nature of us. And I yield my mic. I thank you.
Thank you so much. I just appreciate your perspectives as well. Thank you for being here with us today. Hey, Tess, share with us your perspectives, please.
Thank you so much, Brother Simon, and to my sister Bibi. To put your mind at ease, my grandmother is actually Uganda. She is Baganda from ancient Bakongo Kingdom. So we are actually sisters, and I do have 8 pounds of Ugandan porridge in my kitchen. Okay, so let me unblock your throat chakra.
Some Uji. Some Uji.
Some Uji. I love you. I love you.
Yeah.
OG.
There you go. My sister, see?
Exactly. So, I can poke fun at you every now and then.
You got it.
Oh, thank you. Greetings to everybody, especially Zizi, my grandmother, even though she doesn't know it yet. I adopted her a couple of weeks ago. And peace to the room. And speaking of the 8 pounds of Uji, I was just thinking about, the infinite. Part of the universe. The universe is literally infinite, and anybody who claims to know or who is wise on the ways of the universe of planet Earth is simply a fool. And to push back a little bit on the proverb when it says a wise man, I'd just like to change that to a wise person because I committed myself to debunking or to unlearning the ways of patriarchy this year. So I would love to say a wise person never knows all, only fools know everything. And when you think about that, when you position yourself in a position of superiority, and I know a couple of speakers mentioned this part. You put yourself in a place where you're coming from an egoic perspective as opposed to a place of knowledge. And that egoic perspective always stems from a place of fear and a place of insecurity. When you put yourself in a position of superiority, you actually limit yourself and you put yourself in a position whereby you cannot learn anything else from anybody because in your mind, you already know everything. So you're actually doing yourself a disservice as opposed to putting yourself in a position whereby you know that you know what you know, but also you have the flexibility of learning from other people only because the universe is infinite and we possibly cannot know everything in one lifetime. And if we are able to know everything in one lifetime, then we are really, I guess, ascended masters. But most ascended masters don't even claim to know everything. They're still always learning. So, in that spirit, I don't position myself in a position whereby I feel superior or I feel like I know everything. I'm always learning, and we should always be learning. My name is Tess, and peace to the room. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tess. I agree. We should always be learning. Always be learning. Thank you. Thank you so much. Johnny, how are you doing? And where are you joining us from? And what are your perspectives on today's proverb? Thank you for being here.
Peace, Brother Simon. Thank you. I'm joining from Omaha, Nebraska, birthplace of Malcolm X, El Malik, El Hashabazz. Um, you know what's going on with me and my family as far as the situation that's going on with my cousin. And like I said, Brother Simon, I just appreciate you for always providing a platform where people can be heard, seen, and felt. When I think of the proverb today, a wise man never knows all, only a fool knows everything. Um, it brought me back to the first African proverb that I ever got introduced to in the Nile Valley's Contribution to Civilization book by Anthony T. Browder. And it was a proverb called Know Thyself. And it says, a person who knows not and knows that they knows not is foolish. Disregard them. A person who knows not and knows that they knows not is simple. Teach them. A person who knows not and believes that they knows is dangerous. Avoid them. A person who knows and knows not that they know is asleep. Awake them. And a person who knows and knows that they knows is wise. Follow them. And all of those people reside in every single person that's on this stage and every single person that didn't walk this earth. And the discernment is realizing which person is leading in your life. Thank you, Brother Simon.
Johnny, thank you so much. I'm just grateful for your depth of wisdom as usual. You know, I'm honored, and also to everyone who contributed today. Thank you to everyone who was unable to speak, especially our amazing friends, contributors, and really family, Fred and Jay, Christian, Sensas, Joseph, Shomari, Samara, Mfalme, Anetha and Tasha. All of you are valued, and also everyone else in the room, Diggy and Malek, Hanad. I see you all, and I truly appreciate you all. I would love for you to subscribe to my YouTube channel. My goal is to get to 2,000 subscribers by the end of this month. We are live now, and the link to the channel is at the top of the room. That's a big way to support. Now I want to bring the microphone back to you, my brother Eric. I think you had so many nuggets in response to what you had to say, and also in response to this proverb. Just share with us your comments, and also in sharing your closing remarks, I would love for you to share with us how we can support you and how we can all stay connected with you.
Yes. Before I move forward, I like your insight to the NFT projects, and I think when we speak about technology and the future, I would love to discuss how we incorporate NFTs, the metaverse, and how we can use it to teach and connect both continents, or just not even continents, just our people in general, those willing to learn. And I have an idea for that, and it'll be good to have that discussion. As far as what JJ was speaking about, JJ, I was in the same position, but for me, coming from a very abusive household, I was such a violent kid. My brothers and I fought each other. We fought with knives. We fought. It was just very, very violent. And those are the stories that my sister took to my mother. Okay.
Listen, Eric, as you're speaking, I'm actually remembering my own, upbringing, and these were normal. Like, if you grew up in the ghetto, in the slum, like in Kisumu, chasing somebody with a knife was normal. Chasing somebody
Man,
with a tarimbo, the tarimbo for digging. Those were like,
yes,
you see it all day. Anyway, carry on.
yes. And when I was in Kitale before I left, this kid made me upset, and I took a mokebe or tin or can, you guys call it, and it was pried open, and I just shoved the prying part in his skull, and blood started coming out. And in Africa it's a little bit different, right? Over here, I'd be in jail, or parents would be very upset, and we were very, very violent kids. Even here, my mother couldn't even keep us in the house. That's a story I didn't even tell. Literally, we came here. It didn't take me in fifth grade elementary school. I was living alone with my two young brothers. She just had to get us an apartment, right? And I could talk about how we spent so much money and wasted money over time. And I'm just glad that we have a lot of things to fall back on in Africa. But when we opened Westwood House, okay, those kids, because they were mentally challenged, um, taught me humility, taught me how to be calm. People say I'm the most I'm the most calmest person, even on the worst of times. I don't yell. I don't do any of those things. And right now, those things have taken me to where I think it was Tandisiwe was speaking about missing opportunities, and those things have made me where I've just had to understand you have to find a way to control your emotions, literally. And be in rooms where, when I got passed over for promotion because of the color of my skin, those type of things, I wanted to yell when when the president showed up from Arizona, and all he could say was, "Why don't you just come move with me to my city and build from there?" And to disregard all the accomplishments that I'd made, you know and you just want to just you just want to kill somebody, right? And those emotions come in, and how do you handle that with grace and dignity? And see the people that you hired, that when you got promoted to VP, they cried. You guys should look up Ryan Wyatt. He's VP of gaming at YouTube. He knows me very well. And so it was just good to hear JJ story on how to control emotions. Um, Moving forward, I think if you look at the picture, that's my mother. I'm a big advocate for women. I think you do good where you are at. We teach everyone, but every space that I go now, I see a lot of women who are really taking the initiative to grow their families and build wealth, and you can only give them the ideas that you have. They don't say no. That's how I was. um, I got a $2 billion oil and gas project in El Paso that I'm not in that field, but I said, yes, I will help you put that together. And those, the things you learn from there is you're gonna have to stay up late at night and catch up, right? But that's the assignment, right? And the city is giving these people $200 million in tax incentives, and 89 million when the first shovel hits the ground. And you start to think to yourself, man, there's so much money out there. There's so much money, but that money is coming from you guys, us, taxes, right? But they tell us there is not enough. And so when you go through life and you think about a wise person, Tess is right. It's not a man, it's persons. And I want to say women are just the most, man, they're just the biggest. Without them, I swear to God, we wouldn't be here, right? And so a
Say
wise
that. Say
person
that.
who know,
Come on.
hmm? What she say? Okay. Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
they're just pumping you up. Keep saying what you're
Yes,
saying.
it's I've been in spaces where just the women, their focus, their intellect, the way they look at situations. And so I have two in my company, just very bright. One is an actuary. She graduated from UC Berkeley. Simon, I can't wait to meet for you to meet her when we talk offline. Very intelligent woman. Her name is Miss Deborah Livingston. I've met some good partners in Clubhouse, as who was talking about technology, internet tests. When we talk about infinite and how we can all connect, um, they they are they're finding that they have resources, which is land, and that's where I want to connect with Ella. We have land, guys. We have that 40 acres and a mule, or you guys have, right? I'm from Kenya, but I say we because we're all in this together. Whether I bring my knowledge and you bring the asset, right? And how do we combine those to bring the funding, the money, the capital for us to grow? And so I see these lands getting gentrified, and now it's the new thing called opportunity zones, and it has to be big money. And but we know if they're bringing money in that area, hey, I got my land, I'm gonna build, because when they build around me, they just increase the value of my property in the future. Now that's your kids, you know, that can eat from that. And so I don't want to go to the grave with all this knowledge. And I think about getting in the next space and teaching them how I learned it. I don't do anything special. I'm just in rooms where you pick up a little bit of information and you put it together, and you tell everybody, hey, why don't you go call your mayor, call your city, see what they want to do in that area. Then we can work backwards. You have to work backwards to get to the funding, because then you put that ingredients together for that perfect meal, that perfect plate. And then if you don't have the money, now you put the forks and the plates, and you see the portions everybody's gonna get. And I'm very, very, very committed to that this year. And for me, when I look at how this shapes my life, I just look at the wise person being anyone who wants to learn. Get in the space. Don't say you can't. Sometimes in African families, I don't know if Simon can agree with me, when you're in a business with your family, their kids, they think their kids go to college, get a degree, you're going to run this business. So my mindset was never outside of MHMRA group home setting, right? And when it clicked for me, when it clicked for me is when I told myself I'm going to change my degree path, because I was a psychology major, because we were paying a psychologist a lot of money, guys, to come and do psychological work for those kids. And so I decided, no, I gotta change that, because I don't want to be in the family business forever. And I'm glad I did, because when the economy went down, when the Iraq and Afghanistan wars happened, it really, small businesses were really bought out by big corporations. And so there's just something to say about that. Um, um, Simon, I'm gonna have to go, but people who wanna contact me, I mean, social media, 10K card, here on Clubhouse. I'm very open to anyone who wants to reach out and they have a goal or a dream. We can figure it out together. And sometimes you don't have to have money for me to help you. We'll figure it out, right? A lot of people spend a lot of money uh, to get some courses and so forth, but I'm like, spend that to put your business plan together, spend that to get your company together. I'll make my money when I help you get that success, right? We're going to discuss whether it's a commission based, whether it's equity based, depends on the size and scope of your project. But as far as funding, it's out there. How do we together to make that happen? And sometimes I'm stretched thin, so I give you guys assignments to do, right? And I look forward to this space. Simon, I heard you speak a couple of days ago, and I was like, I gotta follow my brother. And it's been an honor for you to invite me to have an interview, because I think sometimes in these spaces we go in certain rooms and people are moderators, and they think since they don't know you, you gotta prove yourself, or you gotta have some kind of badge of honor. But that's the thing about wise persons, right? Just because you've been a mortgage loan officer for 50 years doesn't mean I don't know a few things about how those deals come to your table, right? And so these small spaces are really, really enlightening for me. But I don't hold grudges, because that's the setup. You don't go into somebody's house and tell them how to rearrange their room, right? But you have to be humbled by it, put it on mute, go back in the audience, listen, and move on. And so that's how I live my life, because I could say some few mean words and destroy some elders, but that's not how we were raised. I don't know if it's a thing, but I'm not that person. I'm really soft spoken. I'm introvert. I don't like. I'm not big with American words. I'm not, although I've been here many years, but I think I'm very good at what I do. No amounts of wealth is gonna make me any different, and I don't have that wealth. The wealth is not here. All that is my mother's until she passes, and that's how I live my life. So now I'm creating my own, but I'm helping others create theirs as well. So thank you, Simon. It's been a very good conversation today.
Thank you so much. I truly, truly appreciate you. And I'm sure we will be having you as a guest in the near future. And to everybody who joined us today, it's just been wonderful to wrap the week with Eric Mbiu as our guest. And he has to go and the show has to end for now. But don't forget to join us in the Africa Day Club tomorrow. Africa Day is an amazing club that we started here on Clubhouse. Connect with Sensors who is in the audience so that you can learn more about some of the programming we have. But 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, we have a program on Africa Day. Let me just see what it is. I don't have it right now. Don't forget to join us at 9 a.m. PST. It's going to be an amazing conversation. And again, thank you for your continued support. Peace and love.
African father in America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. African father in America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze.
You are listening to African Father in America podcast by Simon Javan Okello, live from Seattle, Washington.